Good morning, still here in Los Angeles. Actually, today I'm in Palm Springs, and I am so happy to have our guest. I'm Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and I'm also with Aspiring Magazine. And I'm going to have our guest introduce himself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Valerie. Hi, I am Frank Van Passel, a Belgian director, scriptwriter, and used to be producer. At the moment, I'm close to Brussels in Belgium, where it's snowing. So I'm looking forward to come over to Palm Springs.
Yes, and we're going to be looking forward to having you here in Palm Springs. So
Thank
safe
you.
travels in a couple of days.
Thanks.
Thank you, Frank, again. The Sound Man is having its international moment at
Yeah.
Palm Springs here at the festival. What does premiering at the Palm Springs International Film Festival mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, the two, it's extremely important for me because the film was released 10 days ago here in Belgium. And I always had a soft spot, not only for America and Los Angeles, but Palm Springs. I've been there two times. And first of all, I think it's a wonderful festival. It's a really important festival with good quality movies. And as being European with a European movie in Palm Springs, it's super special because you go to the core of the public. I mean, the people watching your movies there, they know something about cinema. And as in this film, for me, amongst other things, sound was extremely important. I'm convinced that people in Palm Springs, because there are lots of people from the business, will realize what it is to have good sound and how difficult it is. Because we tend to forget it most of the time. It's treated as something that's a surplus of the moving image. So for different reasons, yeah. And it's a big honor, in fact. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. I am so happy that I'm one of the lucky ones that's been able to see it. Was this story inspired by real people or experiences from your own background in filmmaking?
Yeah, in fact, it was. It's of course it's fiction, but it's based on historical facts. So almost all the people in the story are based on people that I met through research. But as a coincidence, the main character of the film, who is a young Foley man starting to work uh, in the radio station in May 1940. Uh, I know his grandson. And as a coincidence, I didn't realize that until a few years ago that one of my best friend's grandfather was the first Foley man in Belgium. And at a certain moment, he gave me his archive with all his books that he wrote about sound and how he was constructing this first sound and Foley studio for Belgian National Radio. So I really thought, yeah, this is material. I have to do something with it. I was always obsessed a little bit with sound, but having this material so close and his writings, where he writes about sound, about the emotional fact. And another thing, of course, it's the story of the girl he falls in love with, the Jewish girl. She's a fictional character, but she's totally based on historical facts, on things that really happened in Belgium during this last week before the Second World War. So I did not invent anything. I used a lot of elements and put them together in an order that they maybe have not been there 85 years ago, but I didn't invent anything of this. Also, the sad things are sadly enough reality.
Wow, I learned so much. Sound plays a central role in this film, as we know, not just technically, but emotionally. How
Yeah.
did you approach sound as a narrative tool rather than just a support element?
That's a good question because it was very difficult. We had to think long time about that. First of all, I decided at a certain moment, normally you have the image and you have sound. Let's turn it around now. I have sound and I have the image, and I'm going to film sound. How would this main character who really thinks in sound, he is sound, He's not able to speak very well, but he can express himself with all the sounds he makes. Uh, how would he see the world? Well, he doesn't see it, he hears the world. So, visually, on a visual level, if he sees the exterior of the village, Brussels, it will not be the kind of Brussels that we see. It will be, we drew it like with some kind of meta painting techniques, all meta painting techniques, because that's the way emotionally he hears the city. So we try to find a way to show it visually sounds, which of course is not possible, but you can only try to go in a certain direction. And it becomes suddenly becomes very emotional because everything you shoot gets an emotional overload because it's connected to sound and sound is fantasy, of course. Sound is imagination. I love radio a lot because you don't see the people, you hear the people, and you have to fill it in. And that's what we people are so good at. Our fantasy has to do with our potential to fill in emotions that we don't see. Uh, and I had the luck to work with the best sound designers in Europe, who have been working more than 12 months in a row without stopping on the soundtrack of this film, not only the score, but all the sounds. Uh, and it was, it's, yeah, it was a little bit like building the Eiffel Tower and starting with the first piece and ending. It's, for me, I would do it again immediately. It was a lot of work, but I felt that we were uh, on a field that in Europe we don't treat sound very well. Maybe it has to do with the financing of movies and with the lack of budgets, lots of time. But everybody was so happy to start working on this because they felt the potential of these sounds and telling a story with sound. Yeah.
Yeah, sound plays a central role in this film, not just technically, but emotionally. At its heart, the man feels like a meditation on listening, both literally and emotionally. What do you hope that the audiences reflect on after the film ends?
Well, honestly, and I think when I see it has been released just in Belgium, and so many people are telling me that when they leave the theater, they start listening and they hear things that they never heard before, and that's absolutely what I wanted that might happen, uh, because there's such a lot. We take it for granted, all these
Yeah.
sounds around us,
Yeah.
and one of the amazing things is we tend to forget, but when you're still a fetus in your mother's belly, you already start hearing sounds at 4 months. You don't see. You start hearing sounds at 4 months, and you never think about it. You're born hearing sounds normally, unless something goes wrong. You die hearing sounds. It's like breathing. It's like a heartbeat. Uh, and what I hope is that people start realizing that it's not just a physical thing, it's also an extremely emotional thing. And there's so much communication with sounds that has much more to do than the words that we say. Most important things about sounds is what we don't say. So the silences are extremely important. And I must say, some people that saw the film went the second time and they told me because we wanted to see big parts without watching. And I think that's a big compliment. I would never dare to do it because you're always afraid to miss something, but we try to make the movie on the sound level that you can really close your eyes. And of course, you would be missing something, but you would be winning something else.
The film explores isolation and intimacy in subtle ways. Your casting was marvelous. As a director, what was the biggest creative risk that you think you took making The Sound Man?
Well, I think in choosing the form, there's a lot of interiors. I tried to avoid as much exterior shots as possible, and the ones I did use these old meta painting techniques. And the biggest danger that was that it might feel a little bit sometimes like I'm copying Wes Anderson on a certain level, which was not the idea, but of course he plays also with mise en scène in a very artistic way. Uh, but I was afraid at a certain moment that I might lose the emotional approach in the visual style, and luckily I think that didn't happen. But I think that was the most difficult thing. Yeah.
So you think that particular scene was the most challenging to direct, either technically and emotionally? Do you have anything else?
Well, yeah, the moment where the big love scene in the film, where
Yeah.
my two main characters end up in a sound wave. I had a lot of discussions with my producers. Luckily, they discuss about this, of course, because what I wanted to do is when you read it on paper, it sounds totally absurd. Instead of a love scene, of a love-making scene, these two people ending up, yeah, in a green sound wave. Uh, but we did it, and I think it works. I really think it works. Maybe some people might not like it, but for me, it's part of the essence of the movie. It's they end up where they are emotionally, and yeah,
So Palm Springs audiences are known for their deep appreciation of craft, and I know there's going to be reactions after the film from the viewers, and I'm sure you're curious to hear about those.
yeah.
So after the audience experiences the sound man, what do you hope that that might stay with them long after they leave the theater?
Well, on a story level, one of the reasons I made and I wrote a movie and I talked about this period just the week before the Second World War is because, of course, at the moment in Europe, we're in an extremely frightening situation where you try and you hope to think that war will never come in our direction, but it's not going good in this world. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of sleazy politicians screaming and so everybody's a little bit afraid. What I try to do is to show what did our grandparents who went through the same situation 85 years ago, how did they cope with it, first of all? And secondly, I wanted to give hope. I think we have the obligation to give hope to young people who have the right to fall in love, even in difficult times. And I think for me, that's the most important message. Whatever happens, let's give them hope. And hope is also that there's an antidote to all these bad things happening today, and that's beauty and love and tenderness. And it might sound naive, but it's what I really believe in. And I hope that this beauty and tenderness inflicts the people who watch the movie.
Me too. That's what it brought to me after seeing the
Thank
film,
you.
and thank you, Frank, for that. How can our viewers and our readers find out more about you, about the film, website, or social media? What?
Yeah, social media, of course, on IMDb, the film, The Soundman, sometimes because in Belgium the film is called Radio Man. Yes, it has two titles, but on IMDb, I'm I used to be part of Caviar, which is also a big production company in Los Angeles. I was on the European side, but I was connected with a lot of the movies. I was one of the founding fathers of the company. So on the website of Caviar, there's a lot of productions that you American people know very well. Uh, and I'll be there in Palm Springs. Talk to
Okay.
me.
Right.
I'd be happy to answer all the questions.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Well, safe travels here. We're the Hollywood Times
Okay.
dot today, HollywoodTimes.net, and our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official. And we also have aspiringmagazine.com. Frank, thank you so much for this film and for your creativity. And we will see you very soon.
Looking forward. Thank you very much for having me,
All
Valerie.
right.
Thank
Have a
you.
good rest of your time. Bye bye.